Daryl Lennington here, and I'm at the Mesh Club in Rosebank, South Africa, where I'm with Justin Hume to discuss Samsung's latest device, the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. So Justin, give me the key specs on the latest device from Samsung.
Daryl, it's an amazing device and it really keeps with the Note legacy that we've established. So large screen, that's the first defining feature of it. It's a 6.3-inch screen, but even given the size, it actually fits very comfortably in your hand, and that's because we have put our infinity display on the device. So that's where we wrap the screen literally from end to end, taking away the bezel, the border of the phone, so that you get almost basically what you see is screen on the handset. So, and that's a quad HD display with dual edge. So we're able to use our apps edge feature. And what's really stepped up in that regard is that in the past you could simply launch an application. Let's take WhatsApp. Let's take messaging. You could launch it from the apps edge. We're now able to pair different apps that we need together. So let's think of an example, which would be I'm in my car driving to work, right? But I want some music, but it's on YouTube. Yeah. But I also want to have the maps running. So I can pair together YouTube and maps. Click it once, both open on the screen, and I'm able to play music off the one, see the map on the other. And because it's such a immersive, large format screen, both fit very comfortably on the device. So another example of that is, again, watching YouTube. I can keep that there and I can open another application like messaging. I can almost have a full QWERTY keyboard on display, plus where my commentary is going while still watching the video that I've chosen. So that's the incredible part about it. However, this beast of a phone has to have some incredible processing power behind it, and so we've gone forward with firstly a 10 nanometer chip processor, which is still Samsung's one of the few manufacturers to be able to offer a processor like that, and our very own Exynos quad octa-core processor.
Okay, so the iconic S Pen is making a comeback. Tell us a little bit about the features that the S Pen will allow users to take advantage of.
So we've got all your favorite S Pen features again making a reappearance, but we've added a lot more. So the S Pen has become more intuitive. It's even more pressure sensitive to give you an incredible lifelike writing experience on the screen. But there's two big things that stand out for me. The very first one is that I can use my S Pen to translate. So let's assume I get a menu on my phone, or a website on my phone, but it's in French. I can literally hover the S Pen over the sentence that I'm looking for, and S Pen will translate on screen the full sentence, not just word by word, but the entire sentence, or the menu sentence that I'm looking at, whatever it might be. So that's an incredible feature of S Pen. It can also do the same with currencies. So I see a website, it's got a currency in US dollars. I simply hover my S Pen over, and it will translate that into South African Rand, if that's the setting that I've chosen. So that's the first great thing about it. But secondly, we know that from past Note users, over 65% of Note users write their memo when the phone is off. So that's we have our always on display screen. So I take my S Pen out without having to really go through the lock screen menu, putting my password and the like. I can write directly onto the screen. And in the past, where we supported 1 page of notes, we can now support up to 100 pages of notes. I can save that, I can pin it to my always on display, and let's think of a practical example of that. So I'm here, we're having a chat, I'm thinking what I've got to stop and get on the way home tonight and at the grocery store.
Yeah.
I can make the notes on the pen, I pin it, okay, and literally whenever my phone's off, I've got this constant reminder then showing me, I've got a task to do that I need to complete. As soon as I'm done, I can simply mark it off, take it off the always on display, and move on to the next task. So we've really thought about convenience and where the S Pen would be utilized in everyday life.
Okay, so speaking of convenience, Bixby's making a triumphant, return to the Note series from the Samsung S8. So tell us how Bixby will be introduced on the Note 8.
So Bixby is phenomenal. That's our learning artificial intelligence engine that we have on the device, and we've launched now with Bixby Voice. So it's really become such an integrated feature of the handset. So very easily I can simply say, "Hi Bixby." Bixby comes up onto the screen. "Bixby, read me the messages that I've got on WhatsApp from my work group." Bixby can read the messages to me. I can then say, okay, let me respond. Hey Bixby, dictate this message back to that work group, and it does that. So without having to touch the phone, I can talk my device through what it's required to do. And the great thing about Bixby is that it's contextually aware. So if I'm looking at a photograph and we're checking out, I say, Bixby, send this photograph to Daryl. Bixby knows that this means what I'm looking at on the phone. So I don't have to say in the, like you would typically have to do on a phone, which is phone, photograph, select, send to, whatever. You have to give it one by one commands. This here, you can really just wrap it in a sentence and Bixby understands what you're trying to do based on your contextual environment.
Okay, so moving away from Bixby, let's discuss camera. So you've got dual cameras on the back of the device as well as a front-facing camera. Can you give us the specs on those cameras?
Right, so we're going with 12 megapixel dual pixel cameras on the rear, and two cameras. So one is a telephoto lens, one is a wide angle lens. Now what's incredible about that is that we've applied optical image stabilization to both cameras. So that means whether you're zooming in or you're going for the wide shot, your image is held steady. You don't see that blur, the frenetic movement that happens when you typically would zoom into an image that's a bit further away. On top of that, we've got 2 times optical zoom and then 10 times digital zoom. So you get a very strong, very crisp zooming in effect when you're looking through the telephoto lens. Now, so that's a rear lens. On the front side, we've got an 8 megapixel camera, and that again features the f1.7 for low light conditions to ensure that your selfie is taken, with that absolute perfect clarity. So I just want to jump back for a second. So one of the best features of the dual camera at the back is we have the ability to take an image. So let's say I'm focusing my camera on you. I can take the immediate shot of you in a close-up environment, but at the same time the second camera that is taking the full background environment. I can then select whether I want to go and blur the background environment, whether I want to expose the background environment, or blur yourself and bring the background more to life. And because the camera has taken both images simultaneously, I can do that either as I'm setting up the shot, or I can do it after the fact. And so it gives me options as to how I'd like to maximize my photography.
Okay. So to finalize things, the big question on my mind and everyone else's mind is the Note 7. How is Samsung going to rectify the issues that happened with the Note 7 when it comes to the Note 8?
So I think with Note 7, what we learned from that, first and foremost, was the amazing love of the product that our consumers, that Note users had of the device. Where we were feeling disappointment and concern, our users expressed love and support for us over that period. And really, we have maintained a very loyal following of Note users who are just waiting for this Note 8. But having said that, practically, what have we done? So we have introduced a completely new and revolutionary battery process where we go through an 8-step validation environment to ensure that from a quality assurance perspective that there is nothing more robust out there in the market that tests the battery, ensures that it is fit for purpose coming through on the device. On top of that, what we have introduced is a 3,300 milliamp hour battery, so it's slightly up from the Note 5, but because of the incredible processing power that we put on board and the 10 nanometer chipset that we're using, power consumption is way down. So you're able to get far more battery life, far more performance from the phone, and generally just more a great experience.
So there we have it. There's everything you need to know about the Samsung Note 8. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.